the tradition that I attached myself to is the tradition of Maha Avatar Babaji. He, I think, is the Eastern equivalent of Saint Fanurios, my patron saint of the Orthodox tradition. He appears every now and again, almost like an avatar to help set the world back onto the path of righteousness. Raja Yoga was dead, completely dead. It was already dead in the 1400s. And in 1861, we know this from Autobiography of a Yogi by Paramhansa Yogananda. In 1861, Babaji appeared to Lahiri Mahashaya Baba, Yogananda's Param Guru, and downloaded almost spontaneously into his consciousness the lost secrets of Kriya Yoga. Now, Kriya means non-reactive action. In other words, you act ritually, but you accumulate no karma, no reactions, which suspends causation, which in and of itself is a miracle. Subsequently, people started to make the connection between Kriya Yoga and the lost science of Raja Yoga. And at some point, they realized, at least in our tradition, that the two, Raja Yoga and Kriya Yoga, are one and the same. This realization, I couldn't quite wrap my mind around it initially when I first started my journey. Until years later, I was about to teach a class I was covering for one of my instructors who didn't show up. And one student showed up. And I know she drove for a long time to show up. It was a Saturday afternoon. I was exhausted. And I didn't have the heart to say, listen, usually if we have one person show up, we cancel the class, I'll give you a credit, you can show up next time. I just didn't have the heart to do that to her. And she stayed, and I taught my first Raja class, Anuttara Raja. I'll call it Anuttara Raja to differentiate it from Raja Yoga, which is a very broad definition. Anuttara Raja means the Supreme Royal. I taught the Supreme Royal Yoga for the first time. I don't know how I did it. I just allowed myself to be open and just let my body speak. And afterwards, I asked her, did you enjoy the class? And she said, not really. So, so much for that. She likes Hatha, you know, a more forceful, a more muscular, more workout kind of yoga. That's what she came expecting. But I was just so exhausted. I just didn't have it in me to sit there. It was also kind of weird, one person in this vast, enormous, cavernous room that looked like a temple. However,
you know,
next
Philip,
yeah.
That happens at the BK Center often too. People come with their mats wanting something more physical and more exercise. So it's a common thing, I think. And isn't Anuttara the name of your Shala?
Anuttara is the name of the Shala. There's lots of Anuttaras. There's one in Canada. There's one of my graduates opened an Anuttara Yoga Shala in Frankfurt in Germany. There apparently is one in Taipei in Taiwan from one of my graduates. And my dream is that they open up everywhere. Anuttara as itself is a concept. It's not a brand name of a specific style of yoga. It's a concept. And it comes from Kashmir Shaivism, which speaks of Trika. It's very Shaivist, very pertaining to Lord Shiva. And I see Craig, of course, as Shivanatha Raja behind him. And it also exists as a modality in Tibetan Buddhism as well. Somehow there's a connection with Anuttara, the Supreme, with what exists in the Himalayas, in Tibetan Buddhism and in Kashmir Shaivism. And interesting, both of these cultures had to suffer invasion and outrage. The Tibetans, of course, when the Chinese communists came in and literally annexed Tibet. And Kashmir Shaivism as well, when fundamentalists, religious fundamentalists, literally exiled the Pandits or the Hindus of Kashmir.